The gentle gurgle of water you just heard is the melody of healing. The water flowing within us is also a part of nature, and when you feel the harmony between your body and Mother Nature, you will gradually heal through this new podcast episode. And now, let's begin this episode. Any way of comforting is gentle and warm, but the best way to comfort is to listen. That means truly listening, not simply letting sounds enter your ears and then pass through. When someone pours their heart out and only receives a few ahas or okays, their heart cannot feel any lighter. Most people don't listen to understand, they listen to reply. As Joe Navarro wrote in his book, What Every Body is Saying, this made me realize there are always 4 types of listeners. First is the pretense of listening. In this style, people only try to create the impression that they are listening, but in reality, they are just zoning out or thinking about something else. It's like a guy whose eyes are glued to a game, hands off the keyboard, but still answers, "Yes, I do. No, I don't. I'm sorry. Thank you," every time his girlfriend complains about household chores. The guy simply knows he needs to reply, so he does, otherwise there will be trouble. This is a form of failed listening. The second is listening to reply, a type of listening with the goal of explaining or defending one's own opinion. "Why do you never listen to me, Mom? Why did you throw away all my favorite things? I earned that money myself. I didn't ask you to buy them, but you just did it on your own." And the answer the child receives would be, "Those worthless, nonsense things, of course I'd throw them away. You don't care about your studies? I've spent so much money raising and educating you since childhood, and you say it's your money? Have you paid me a single penny? How dare you say I have no right?" The child's intended meaning is that the mother isn't listening, but the mother only filters information and refutes anything that goes against her opinion, while also discarding any information not useful for her reply. The third type is appreciative listening, which appears in examples such as listening to a podcast, listening to a teacher lecture, or listening to advice from seniors. This type of listening requires high selectivity. You listen, but you don't fully put yourself in the speaker's shoes. You listen to gather and accumulate information. And the last type of listening, also the most advanced, is empathetic listening. This is considered the most important skill for healing internal wounds and stalemates. Empathetic listening uncovers the positive emotions that emerge in every story and utilizes the speaker's strengths to bring out the positive aspects within them. The key to empathetic listening is focusing on the emotions in the story. In this form, you will realize that listening doesn't necessarily require a response or a display of agreement. An empathetic listener is someone who can understand more than just the literal meaning of the words. For me, empathetic listening is when the other person shows attentiveness and uses positive nonverbal cues. While I'm rambling on about everything under the sun, the other person listens, hand on chin, occasionally nodding in agreement, mimicking my expressions as I recount events. They don't ask many questions, only to open up the story further. "Were you angry then? What else did you do? Yeah, I get that feeling, don't you?" And naturally, because of these positive actions, my story feels complete and fully heard. Empathetic listening is also when the other person doesn't try to fill the silence between you two. It's when both of you can sit quietly next to each other, watching the sparkling sunset over the lake, without feeling awkward or uncomfortable. I would be staring blankly into the distance, while the other person would gaze at me for a long, long time and only much later ask, "Hey, what were you just thinking about?" Ms. Nguyen Phi Van once said in a V Etc. podcast episode that if you can sit and watch the sunset with someone without saying anything, that person is your soulmate. When I heard that part, I stopped. It's so true. The moment we realize someone is the one is when, even as silences appear in conversations, neither of us feels awkward, but rather a sense of peace, because we both share and feel that serenity within the quietness itself. Time then slows down, ever so slowly. You feel the movement of the wind, the sky, and hear the rhythm of breaths and heartbeats. We tend to try to maintain conversations and avoid awkward silences, but both you and the person opposite you need time to gather your thoughts or find the right words to describe your mood. If the speaker needs a long period of silence, you can reassure them by saying, "Don't worry, I'll always be here with you." Silence in active listening allows people to reflect on themselves. Silence in empathetic listening is to increase empathy between the listener and the speaker. Becoming an empathetic listener isn't too complicated, is it? Many of you sent me questions like this after listening to some episodes. Hey, what happened to you? In truth, I am also on a journey of self-understanding. I often feel sad for no particular reason. Sometimes, overwhelming emotions surge, so bad that I can't control my own behavior. I share stories, both my own and fragments gathered from others' lives that have appeared in my journey. And I am incredibly grateful that you not only listened, but also empathized with those stories. The last question I received in the past year was, "Who have you become?" And I answered, "A listener, someone who knows how to listen." Now, I no longer lament, I listen to them, but who will listen to me? Because I believe that once I become an empathetic listener, I will surely find people who will listen to my stories. I listen to them, and then they too will sit and listen to me.